going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of Seen But Not Heard, where we'll hear music from Hexorcist, Pestilent Age, and a little chat with Mr. Sammy Duet from Acid Bath, Crowbar, Goat Horror, and Ritual Killer. I want to give a shout out to my friend Britta, who made this sculpture for me for my 40th birthday. Thank you very much. Love it. Moving on to the show. Let's hear music from Hexorcist. This is a band from Miami, Florida. Old school blackened thrash death metal. That like late 80s, early 90s stuff you don't hear so much these days. Really brings you back to that fucking era. It's super fucking cool. I want to thank Abraxas Lux Tenebris for introducing me to his band. He contacted me through this show. So thank you. I did not know I needed this in my life, but I do. So this is Resuscitation of Iniquity.
Infidel defilers should all drown in lakes of blood. Now they will know why they are afraid of the dark. Now they will learn why they fear the night.
So in my many years and travels of playing shows, going to shows, I've seen a lot of crazy shit, and I want to share some of those stories with you. This might be my all-time favorite one. So about 2004, I want to say, maybe 2005, a bunch of friends were going to go to King Diamond, Behemoth, Nile, Black Dahlia Murder in Minneapolis. So we go to pick up one of my friends. We're leaving at about 11 in the morning. He is drunk from the night before, like hammered. It's like, oh man, it's gonna be a long day for him. Well, we get on the road, and it's about a 3.5 hour trip from Fargo to Minneapolis, where the show's at. And on the way there, one of my buddies is like, hey, got this new band, 3 Inches of Blood. I'm like, oh, I've never heard of it. Let's check it out. Pop it in. I just want to listen to this because it's fucking awesome. My buddy is being belligerent as shit in the back already. He sees someone that he recognizes their car passing on the interstate. So he starts pounding on the window like, hey, man, hey. And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? He ain't going to hear you. We're driving like 75 miles an hour. So I'm like, well, this is going to be an interesting day. I mean, that's already hilarious to me. Fast forward, we get there to the show. We get there early enough to pregame a little bit. My buddy's like in the 12th inning, already almost done. Well, so Black Dahlia Murder hits the stage, amazing. Nile hits the stage, fucking amazing. Behemoth, on and on. Get to the time King Diamond's about to go onto the show, or start the show. And this is back when King had like the gates in the front, doing like kind of the graveyard setup tour. Like I said, this is about 2004 or something. And, you know, lights dim, music starts up, you know, that eerie King Diamond music. I look over at my buddy, and he is passed out standing up. No clue how it's even possible, especially at a place like that. No clue how he didn't get kicked out either. So I kind of shake him, like, hey, buddy, King's about to start. He's like, oh. I'm like, well, let's try to do this. So I spend most of the time just trying to keep him awake, make it through the show. And afterwards, we invite everyone to a little after party. So we have a bunch of us Fargo folks in a hotel. We grab some off sale, having a good time. And there was a bar bowling alley right across the street. My buddy got his second wind. And he's like, oh, I'm going to go over there. We're like, have at it, man. They go over there, and they're just the belle of the ball over there. My buddy and one of our other friends, they're bowling games, having drinks. No clue how they got served. I mean, it's just insane, but more power to them. Not judging either. So they come back, and he's no longer on his second wind. He is done. So there's 2 beds in the room. He passes out on one. His buddy passes out next to him. And we're like in the on the other bed, and where they have like the table and chairs and stuff, just having some beers, having some laughs. Well, my buddy wakes up confused, completely blacked out. He starts like taking the sheets from the bed and like, oh, he's just gonna crawl into the sheets rather than lay on top of them. Nope, wrong. He decides to whip it out and starts peeing all over the bed, which wakes up my other friend, who's horrified. He rolls off the bed all crazy. We are dying. It is pure chaos right now. And I am just tears rolling down my eyes. I can't handle it. Everyone's like, stop him. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Pinch it off for him? Just let him finish, I guess. I don't know. He kind of comes to, runs into the bathroom, and there's just a commotion. He comes out of the bathroom. He was fully clothed, walking in the bathroom, came out in just his underwear. We have to now tackle him away from the door because he wants to walk home in his underwear at like 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, whatever it was. And we're in St. Paul still. So like 3.5 hours away driving. So walking home, that's not even possible. We get him to finally calm down, and he goes and lays back in his piss-soaked area. Because number one, I'm not sleeping in it. 2, we didn't force him in it. He just went back, like the circle of life. I don't fucking know. Next day, we get up and get in the car and tell him the tale, and he's just like, yeah, shit happens. So that was our tale of King Diamond, Behemoth, Nile, Black Dahlia Murder. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sammy Duet from Acid Bath, Goat Whore, Crowbar, Ritual Killer. How we doing, buddy?
The list goes on and on.
So,
and 7 other bands that nobody's ever heard of.
Well, let's get those projects out, man.
Yeah, it's all secrets. Eventually, in time.
So, my first question to you would be, during this COVID situation, what have you been doing to keep busy, to keep sane?
Writing the new Goat Whore record.
Nice.
So that's been taking up a lot of my time. So that's about it. And just, when I've been writing a lot by myself because a couple of guys live out of state and stuff, So it leaves me a lot of opportunity for my mind to wander when I'm writing. So I kind of, when I get in that zone, you know, I don't want to just go and focus on something else. It's all about seizing the moment and taking advantage of that opportunity, because you know, I'll go through fucking spots to where I'll try to write, but everything that I write fucking sucks. So when it's going good, I have to take full advantage of that. And you know, luckily, I guess just from this whole isolation situation, my mind has been locked into that. So it's just spending a lot of time working on these songs. That's about it.
Now, with that, like the progression from the first Goatwhore album to Vengeful Accession, you guys have stuck with the same anecdote, but it's been a little different. Like, you know, your first album, Super Raw, to Vengeful Accession, which kind of had a more atmospheric, but still dark and dirty. Is it kind of sticking towards that, or what are we thinking?
No, this is definitely going to be a more aggressive record than fucking Vengeful Ascension. I can definitely tell you that.
Okay.
There's going to be some weird stuff like on Vengeful Ascension on there, but it's definitely leaning towards a lot more of an aggressive energy in the songs.
Okay. So would I be wrong to say something similar to like a Haunting Curse? Because that album, when you hit play, just kicks you in the fucking dick.
It's definitely got some Haunting Curse moments on there. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of, how can I say this? There's a lot more blast beats than there were on Vengeful Ascension. Let's just put it that way.
Hey man, the more brutal the better. On that note,
Yeah, I mean, Vengeful Ascension was almost like an experiment, kind of, you can say.
okay.
You know, and you know, we performed that experiment, so it's time to go back to being pissed off, I guess you can say,
And
rather than being melancholy and bummed out, doomed out. Because that record, to me, I find that record had a very doomish kind of vibe to it.
okay, yeah.
And this one definitely does not have that.
So are you guys pretty much about how many songs in are you right now, would you say?
Right now, as far as I would consider songs to be completely finished, I would say we're at like 14 songs.
Nice.
Like that, the 14 songs that I'm satisfied with, that if tomorrow we went to record, I would be like, all right, let's do it. But it's been that we had been that I can't think right now. This is what happens when you quit doing drugs and alcohol. Your mind thinks too much. But anyway, what was I saying? I still have like 5 other songs that I'm currently working on besides the 14 that I'm trying to get finished. But I mean, 14 songs is plenty.
Yeah.
And you know, initially, what the plan is, out of those 14 songs, we'll get somebody else's opinion or several other people's opinions on the best 12. Then when we go in the studio, we'll record those 12, and we'll pick the best 10 of those 12.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of fucking songs on an album, you know, for various reasons, you know.
You don't want to have that filler, I get it.
There's not going to be more than 10 songs on a Goatwhore record nowadays. Let's just put it that way. You know, people's attention span, I mean, you think you listen to like a grindcore record or something like that, or like a Marduk record, something that's like that's intense the whole time. I mean, I think that if you go more than half an hour with a record, that kind of stuff, it just kind of loses its impact.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which I'm not saying that the new Goatwhore record is going to be blast from fucking the door open till the door closes. But, you know, we have a little bit more forgiveness in that area to where we could put like a 40-minute album out instead of 30 minutes.
So with the new album and actually previous albums to this, what do you listen to or go to for inspirations for your writings? Like, is there a certain band, like I'm going to listen to, like for me, when I was writing for my old band, I'd pop on a Haunting Curse and it'd give me just that dose of aggression I needed to like get the riffs going. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge Goat Whore fan, so that was for me. But for like someone like you, what do you listen to or read or watch to kind of get that inspiration for that aggression?
Actually, I try to discover new bands.
Okay.
I try to listen to stuff that I've never heard before, you know, and it's really hard nowadays because I'm really, really particular on what I like. So I have to go through like 10 bands to find one that I like. That I'm like, all right, this band's awesome. But, you know, that's just me being jaded and just being extremely picky on what I like. But as far as like inspiration goes, it's, you know, it's I don't really think of it like that. You know, I kind of just, I'll start messing around on the guitar, and if the fire starts getting bigger, then, you know, I'll just kind of roll with it, you know, and if it doesn't, I'll just try something completely different than what wasn't working, you know?
Yeah. So with the new bands, do you just go like Facebook, Spotify, just album trading, or how are you finding the new stuff you're finding these days?
Yeah, I'll just either go like on Spotify or I'll go on YouTube because I have a bunch of my settings set is like, you might like this, you know, and then I subscribe to a bunch of like channels that always upload new bands, and, you know, I'll just go through and just listen to a bunch of different stuff on there, you know.
Anything particular you've been listening to that really just kind of sticks out?
As a matter of fact, there was this band that I found, it was earlier this week that I had heard of them, and I think I had heard one of their singles, and this was, the album actually came out in 2019.
Okay.
And I remember hearing the single, and I was like, this is pretty sick. But I lost it, you know what I'm saying? I totally forgot about it, and I forgot to follow up. It was like when the album got released. So I recently stumbled across this album, and it's a band called Noctum.
Okay.
And the album is called Black Consecration, I believe. The Black Consecration. Amazing stuff.
Good stuff.
Really, I don't know how I forgot about this, because I found the record, like the full record, last week. Well, last week, and I listened to the entire record. It was just it's really, really, really good. I was like, I should have remembered this.
It's easy to forget with all the bands these days. There's two in the last couple years that I've discovered that really kicked, like just went, holy shit. One, like, I think it's called Achilles or something like that. Achilles. I can't pronounce it. It's a tough one. And then
I know what you're talking about. There's a bunch of bands like that nowadays.
Yeah. And then a band called Christ Hate. If you haven't heard Christ Hate, holy shit, man. Good stuff.
I've heard the name before.
It's really
I'll check it out.
Took me by surprise, let's just say. My buddy actually knew who they were because they're kind of one of those, we're hidden, we're not going to tell you what's going on kind of band, and then they broke up. And my buddy knew the guys, so he sent me all their shirts and a disc and all that stuff. So it was pretty cool to be able to kind of discover that stuff, you know? So I get what you're saying. On that note, I kind of wanted to bring it back to where you started and where you're at now musically. Obviously, Acid Bath kicked it off for a lot of people. And then after Acid Bath, was it directly into Goat Whore, or was it into Crowbar, or how'd that progression go?
Well, I mean, while Acid Bath was still together, Goat Whore, which at the time was under a different name, was a functioning band. I would say we started the whole idea for Goat Whore as its very primal state I would say maybe in like 93 or 94, when me and Zach Nolan started the whole idea of starting a black metal band,
Yeah.
So it's been going on for a very long time, just the general idea of it. And, then Acid Bath started kind of falling apart. And I remember I was at a Pantera concert. It was Pantera, Anthrax, Soylent Green, and Cold Chamber.
Okay.
And I was backstage hanging out with everyone. And Todd Strange was at the concert. And, Acid Bath was pretty much done at that point. And I wasn't really doing anything. And Goat Whore was, at the time, in a very infantile kind of spot. So I went up to Todd Strange, and I was like, hey, I'm your new guitar player for Crowbar. And he goes, go tell Kirk. And Kirk was like over there. And I go up to Kirk, and I say, hey, man, Todd told me to come tell you that I'm your new guitar player. And he just goes, give me your phone number. And then, a couple of days later, Kirk calls me up and is like, learn these songs and come jam if you're serious. And I learned the songs, and I guess he enjoyed my playing.
So about that with Crowbar, actually, in 1998 at Milwaukee Metal Fest was the first time I met you. You were on, obviously, the Oddfellows Rest Tour, and you guys had an autograph signing. And I remember walking through the merch area, and, my buddies were like, hey, dude, it's fucking Crowbar over there. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. And walk up, and I still have it framed, the autograph that you, Todd, Jimmy, and Kirk signed on my wall here. But I remember I walked up to you guys, you're signing, and Kirk's like, hey, stroke Sammy's beard for me. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And you kind of look at Kirk, and I'm like, I don't know what to do here, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, one of those memories, man, that I always stuck with me. It was a cool time.
Yeah, man. I remember that Metal Fest. Unfortunately, I had to do a couple of those. But, old Jack Koshik. But let's not get into that.
I could go on with stories about him, too. I've been on the phone with him more than once.
Yeah, let's not even worry about him right now.
So because you did 2 albums with Crowbar, am I correct?
3.
Okay, yeah. God damn it.
Yeah, I was, did Oddfellows Rest, Equilibrium, and Sonic XS in its purest form.
That's right, yeah. My brain's kind of fried as well, man. Years and years of abuse.
It happens.
But so after Crowbar, and, during the formation of Goat Whore, when did Ritual Killer, pop in? When did that project find its way?
Well, what happened with that is Zach Nolan left Goat Whore on friendly terms, of course. He just didn't like touring, he wanted to be home. He didn't like being away from home and stuff. Yeah. So he left the band, and but he still wanted to jam. So he was like, hey, you want to do this thing with me and just make it the most, extreme thing we could possibly do, to where just going back to the roots of what we originally started as, just a lot of Dark Throne and Pale Nazarene, Beherit,
Yep.
Just going that more kind of influence kind of stuff, more extreme, just evil, crazy, just fast all the time stuff. So he approached me about doing it, and I was like, yeah, let's see what happens. So he sent me just drum tracks.
Okay.
He would just put a ghetto blaster in front of his drum set and just map out these whole songs on the drums and just say, here, put some guitar to this. And I was like, this is kind of difficult. So I got as far as I could with that. Then I was like, let's get together in the jam room and just kind of let's make this work, So basically, that's how it started. And he, we were like, well, he originally had the idea of getting Jordan Barlow to sing on the Ritual Killer project because his girlfriend at the time and Jordan Barlow's girlfriend at the time were really, really good friends.
Okay.
So they got acquainted like that. And Zach was like, I have this guy, because I didn't know Jordan at the time. And he was like, I got this guy that wants to sing on the Ritual Killer shit and just try it out. So then we added Jordan to the whole situation. And that's when shit just started really getting pretty intense at that point.
Okay.
And then we added James Harvey on the bass because we didn't have a bass player. And on the first record, Upon the Threshold of Hell, I just did all the guitars and the bass.
Okay.
Because we were just like, instead of screwing around waiting to find some dude, because in New Orleans, to find a bass player anywhere is a task. Let's put it that way. So, luckily, let me go back. So I did all the bass and the guitar on the Threshold of Hell. Then James Harvey actually contacted us through email and was like, hey, I want to see y'all don't have a bass player. If you guys want a bass player, I'll come by and jam with you guys. And we're like, who the hell is this dude? It was just some random email that he sent. And so we met James. And the funny story about James is, so we were going to meet up with James at a Behemoth show. And it was like Behemoth Suffocation. And James was like, if you guys want to meet up with me at this show and, we'll talk about this in person and stuff. So we'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
We'll meet up with James. I was like, how the hell do we know who this dude is? Because we didn't send any pictures of himself. We didn't send any description of himself. So we go with me and Jordan and went to the show. And this big biker fucking looking dude just comes up to us out of nowhere. And he always has that look on his face like he's pissed. I was like, dude, we have to fuck this dude up. Who the fuck is this? And he goes, hey, I'm James. I emailed you guys about playing bass. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, okay, it's nice to meet you. And the funny thing about that story, this was like a 21 and over show, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It was a bar show, full alcohol. And at the time, James Harvey was 17 years old.
Jesus.
So he's like, I was asking him, I was like, how did you get in here, man? This is like, a 21 and over show. And he's like, they didn't even ask me for my ID. And I kind of looked at him and I was like, that kind of makes sense. Because even at 17 years old, he looked like he still looks like that, It's pretty funny, just looks like this big old biker fucking dude or whatever. Funny story.
Yeah, he's a big
but
fucking
anyway,
dude.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how it's basically how Ritual Killer came to be as we know it,
Mm-hmm. Is there any plans to revamp any Ritual Killer stuff anytime?
Man, the initial idea was from Zach Nolan. And Zach Nolan has basically just decided to retire from music.
Ooh.
So, I don't think it would be cool to actually do it without him,
Oh, I get it, yeah.
But I'm not going to say that something similar to that might come out eventually with a couple of, between me, Jordan, and James, But, it's only time will tell because me and Jordan actually started working on some stuff after Zach had decided that he didn't want to play music anymore. So we'll see if that stuff ever makes the light of day or not. It's just some really rough ideas, but it's definitely in the same vein as Ritual Killer.
That'll be fucking cool, man. Hell yeah. Be watching for that shit. So, it's been a pretty exciting year for you gear-wise. You had the, not one, but two signature items out there. The LTD SD1 and the Michael Klein D-Book.
It depends on what side of the Mississippi you're from.
All right.
I think it's called someone corrected me and called it the D-Book.
Okay.
So I'm not sure the exact pronunciation. I think different people pronounce it different ways, but the idea is there.
Yeah. My buddy has one. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I've seen it in person. It's a cool looking fucking pedal. I'm looking forward to actually jamming it. And with the LTD guitar, so the story for me, on my birthday, my buddy was going to help me get one because I was a little short on cash. So he went on and, tried to order me one, but as he was filling out the information, they sold the last one. So I was this fucking close.
You might have a second chance.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I'm just saying you possibly might get a second chance at getting one.
So when you
not to give away too much information.
My lips are sealed, man. I won't say shit. But when you received yours, I watched the unboxing, and the thing just looks beautiful. I mean, it's as best I've seen to like a signature of your actual. You see some people's signatures, it's like, it's way off. It's kind of like the shape, but they killed it with that one, it looks like. It looks like it plays amazing. I've watched you play it on certain, live streams on your Instagram. Is it really just that fucking good?
The neck, I will say that they absolutely nailed the neck shape. Because there's there's this one that I have, one of my custom shops. It's the one that has it's like a quilt maple top on it.
Yeah.
And it's got the inlay of Azazel. That one, they absolutely nailed the fucking neck shape on that guitar. And I was expressing to ESP, I was like, I want that neck shape on this guitar. I was like, I know you could probably just throw some fucking standard LTD shape on it, but being that this is a signature, I wanted to get it as close as I possibly can to this guitar. Basically what I want to do is to take a combination of all my guitars, all the customs that I have, and just make one that has all the things that I like about certain ones. Like I said, the neck shape on that one with the plain maple top. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do it more of a simple shape like my original custom Star. Then I wanted to do it with one pickup and one volume like my newer one that has the arch top on it. So it's kind of like a mix match of all the things that I like about all the ones. Because, I didn't want to do an exact replica of a certain one. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to do something that if I got in a bind, let's say I was going to Columbia and playing a show, and something happened to the guitar I was bringing with me, let's say it got lost or it got broken or something like that, and if it would be everything that I would need to pull the show off,
Okay. Looks like our video froze up a little bit here.
So that would be it. It just ruled.
There we go.
You all right? You got it?
Yep, we're good.
All right. So I just wanted to do one that was a mixed match of all the other ones.
So how much of the process were you able to oversee with the whole design? Was it like 100%? Did they send you like specs every week, every month?
No, I just basically sat down with my ESP guy and went through every detail with the fine-tooth comb.
Okay.
And was like, and they luckily on the first try they nailed it. Because normally he was like, my guy at ESP was explaining to me, is like, yeah, sometimes, with the LTD stuff, it's not like a custom shop. Yeah. It's kind of either they nail it or it's a little bit off. And luckily, they nailed it on the first time.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. So, I've got two friends, one in town here and then one in Minneapolis that both scored one of the LTDs. So hopefully I'll be able to play one soon. And if like you said, if they do release another one, I'll be ready for that this time. So
yeah, we'll see what happens.
So with the Michael Klein pedal, how did that come about? How'd that come to life?
Well, Michael Klein had contacted me. I had just like signed up for Instagram. Like basically, like it was like I'd been on there for like a week or something. And Michael Klein hits me up, and he's like, "Hey, I'll make this delay booster reverb / pedal, basically a pedal that'll go into the effects loop, and it's like the ultimate like solo pedal."
The Lonely Ghost you're talking about, right?
Yes, yeah, the Lonely Ghost. So he's like, "I want to send you out a Lonely Ghost because I'm just a big fan. I've been a big fan of your music for a while, and it would just it would mean a lot to me to send you a pedal." And I'm like, "Well, I'll take a pedal, absolutely." So he sent out the Lonely Ghost, and I fucking absolutely love it. Like, when the moment I plugged it in and I got it dialed in, I was like, because basically what the idea with the Lonely Ghost is it does the thing that 3 pedals that you normally need 3 pedals to do.
Okay.
And it's all in one pedal. So I've been looking for something like that, and he just happened to make one and was willing to take care of me with it. So he sent the Lonely Ghost, and I loved it, basically. It's like my number one like solo pedal or whatever.
Nice.
And I was like, "Hey, what other pedals do you make?" And he was just like, "I can make basically anything." So what I was using at the time, which I've been using for a very long time, was a Digitech Bad Monkey with an overdrive. Because, I mean, it's something about that pedal, even though it's a cheap Digitech, stupid named fucking pedal, the way that pedal sounds, it just, it keeps the low end intact rather than like a TS-808 or a TS-9 or whatever. Those pedals tend to like suck the low end out and kind of give the mids kind of this honky, dry it kind of thins your sound out more than anything.
Yeah.
The thing that I found with the Bad Monkey was that it has a low end control, so you can dial the low end back in, and the high knob on the high control acts differently than like the tone knob on like your typical tube screamer. So you can really fine tune the Bad Monkey to get the sound that you want, rather than just having one tone knob and you're kind of stuck with it. You can't really do much with it.
Okay.
So I was like, "Mike, I want you to build a replica of the Bad Monkey, but improve upon a couple of things. Like, the thing about the Bad Monkey, it got a little muddy sometimes, and I wanted to make it a little bit more clearer sounding."
Okay.
So he built like the first prototype of that pedal, and it was fucking like, I was A/B'ing it to a Bad Monkey, and it was so fucking close. So I was like, just tweak this a little bit more, and I basically drove him crazy for like 2 months. Just like, "Can you change this? Can you change that? Can we try this?" So we went back and forth with about 5 prototypes to where we got to a point where we were both happy with one. And so I was playing through it, and I was like, "It's awesome. I love it. It's great." And then he's like, Michael Klein was actually like, "Let me try one more thing to maybe push this over the top." And I was like, "I don't know, man. It's pretty fucking nailed in." So he's like, he's just like, "Let me just try it." And that's where the usurp knob came in, because at the original Divox that we had, it was just low, high, gain, and volume, which is basically like the Bad Monkey. But he was like, "Let me try this usurp knob." And the way he designed it, he told me, he's like, "If you don't like the usurp knob, you just turn it off, and it turns into the original Divox that you have."
Okay.
So, I mean, the usurp knob is not going to really mess with the sound of the original idea that we had for the Divox. So it just adds something. I don't know what it does, but it adds something. and he tried explaining it to me, and I don't understand electronics. But the addition of the usurp knob definitely took that pedal over the top to where, when you have it off, it's awesome. But when you dial it in, it does something that it kind of compresses it a little bit more and adds a little bit more teeth,
Okay.
but without becoming harsh and like screwing with the original tone of the pedal. It was a genius idea on Michael Klein's part, and I give him full credit for the usurp knob. And I'm glad he pushed me to like try it, because I was like, no, it sounds great. Don't fuck with it anymore. We got it where we want it. Don't fuck with it. And he was like, no, one more thing, and if it doesn't work, we'll just take it out. But I ended up loving it. So I was like, fuck it, leave it in there. This is it. We nailed it. Let's put this bitch out.
Fuck yeah, man. Like I said, I've heard you play it on your Instagram live streams. My buddy, when he lets me try his out, I'm fucking excited too. Hopefully I can work it out to get the LTD SD1 and the D-Buck at the same time. Be a fucking cool combo.
Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah, it's like what I want people that might be watching this to understand is it's not a distortion pedal.
Yep.
It's meant to use on top of a dirty amp to kind of, I wouldn't say tighten it, but to kind of tweak the preamp attack of what's going into the amp more than just kind of having that. If you plug into an amp, you kind of have that kind of flat kind of sound.
Yeah.
It's real. It doesn't react fast enough sometimes. This definitely, you can, especially with the usurp knob, you can get it to react really fucking fast. Okay. But like I said, but the way that I wanted it was when you're adding that kind of transient fast attack to it, not to lose the ass and the balls. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like having your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
You know.
So moving on into kind of touring, obviously we miss it. We haven't seen you guys in, I want to say 2 years maybe, since I believe it was the Turf Club in St. Paul.
Yeah.
Now, reminiscing on old tour stories, good and bad, what are some things you miss the most, like the high points and the low points? What are, some of the funnier, more hilarious things that have happened to you on the road?
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, of course, the thing that I miss the most about it is getting on stage and play.
Yeah.
The second thing I miss about it is that I get to travel around and see some of my friends that I don't get to see very often, And the third thing is that, I don't do that here, but, I miss just going around and messing around with guitars all day.
Yeah.
It's, like you're saying, in Minnesota, you have Capitol Guitars, and every time I'm there in like the St. Paul area, it's like, all right, I gotta schedule some kind of hour every trip to make sure I go to that store. And there's stores like that all around the United States that when I'm on tour, I try to make a point to go to those stores because you never know what might be in there that day, Like speaking of fucking, Capitol Guitars, the last time that we were there, it was the night that we played at the Turf Club that night, the last time for the Metal Alliance. Me and one of my buddies from out there, he took me down to Capitol Guitars, and I forget the owner's name. Goodness.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to the store and we're looking around and he's chatting, we're talking and stuff, and he goes, come into my office, I have something I want to show you. And I'm like, this is going to be good. Because if I go into the office and he has something to show me, it's probably going to be something insane. That it's not on the floor. So, go into his office and remember those Eddie Van Halen guitars they put out, but it was like the original 78 with the bigger headstock.
Yeah.
It didn't have a Floyd. It had the standard like Fender style trim. It had a black pick guard. And there was a black and white stripes on it.
Yep.
They only did like a few of them, like a handful of them. And he pulls that out. I'm like, yeah. He's like, come on, play it. And I'm like, dude, this thing's like fucking like $20,000 or some ridiculous amount of money, dude. I'm not fucking touching it. He's like, come on, man, you're sober right now, aren't you? I was like, yeah, that's true. I haven't started drinking yet, so I'll be all right. So this is earlier in the evening. But I played it. It was fucking fantastic. But it's shit like that, you know what I'm saying? I miss, traveling and doing stuff like that.
Oh, man. That Capitol Guitars, I've had a chance to go there once. Minneapolis is so big, and Christine, she lives out there, so I try to make my rounds around the guitar stores there. And I need to make it to Capitol more often, but I think the last time I was there, or the only time I was there so far, it was like 2.5 hour trip. And just like everything, just, okay, I got to try this. I got to try this. So I definitely want to make my way back there. My boy, Robert Carlson, he's like their main clientele. He always gets his Jackson Custom Shops through there and whatnot. But yeah, he always speaks highly of that place, and I had to check it out, and yeah, it was fantastic. Cool fucking place, man.
Yeah, Capitol Guitars is one of those places. It's like one of those rare places that you go to that it's not a bunch of Ibanez's and fucking Gibsons and all that fucking shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You have a lot of like off the beaten path kind of stuff in there, which is cool, you know what I mean? You know, it seems like it's geared more towards like metal guitars, to be honest with you, rather than like, you go to like the Chicago Music Exchange, which there's nothing wrong with the Chicago Music Exchange. It's a fucking fantastic store. But it's like the majority of the store is all these vintage Gibsons and vintage Fenders and stuff that I'm not interested in, you know?
Yeah, it's cool to see, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I like stores like Capitol Guitars and stuff that just have more catered to more my style of kind of guitars, you know?
On that note, with the LTD SD1, which is only available through Chandro Guitars, how did you get in contact with Randall over there? He's actually going to be on the show at the end of this, end of January here. So I'm going to be talking to him about some of his custom shop guitars he's got through there. Have you been to their store?
No, but hopefully when the SD1s come in, well, let me start from the beginning. Okay, so Randall ordered basically an ESP custom shop replica of my number one, which is the star body with the single coil in the neck and the residual Lucifer and stuff. That was the first one that I got. So basically, he ordered a custom shop version of that guitar. And ESP, they had to contact me to get my permission to make the guitar. So ESP contacted me. I was like, hey, man, there's a guy from Chandro Guitars that wants to order a replica of one of yours, and we need your permission and all that stuff to make the copy of it. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, who is this guy? I never heard of him before, but I was like, this dude's gonna order like a custom shop guitar of me. I should probably thank him or something, right? So we do all that, and I get in touch with Randall. I'm like, hey man, I appreciate you doing this, ordering a custom shop version of one of my guitars. And I was like, this is, kind of weird, I never expected that this would happen, And he goes, yeah, man, it's awesome and stuff. And apparently he had posted something that he had put the order in for the guitar. But as you're very well aware of, an ESP custom shop is not a cheap guitar at all.
Nope.
So he posted like on the Chandro Steak Pit or something that he had placed the order for the guitar. And apparently the response was fucking overwhelming, he said. Like, it was really positive, but not a lot of people have $6,000 to $7,000 to drop on a guitar, especially nowadays.
Yep.
So he contacted me. He was like, hey, man, people are freaking out that I'm going to be getting a custom shop, but, you know, not a lot of people are going to be able to afford this guitar. What would you think about if we did an LTD version, but just like a limited amount? And I was like, you contact ESP and find out how we can do this, and I am absolutely 100% behind this. So he contacted ESP. We designed the guitar. We did all the specs. And he was like, how many do you think we should make? And I was like, well, I don't want you to get stuck with a bunch of stock if it flops. So let's just do like 30 of them. And he was like, yeah, that's a good number. You know, I mean, we didn't know if it was going to sell or not.
Oh, it's sold.
So So we ordered the 30. We got all that lined up through ESP, and I was like, cool. And so when he announced the pre-order thing, I was like, because I remember talking to him that day. He was like, I'm going to announce a pre-order today, and, you know, see how it goes. And I was like, you know, I was expecting like maybe a week or something to go by. And he was like, well, we've sold this much or sold that much. So literally I was on the phone with one of my friends, okay? He announced the pre-order at like 6 o'clock my time that evening. Mm-hmm. So one of my friends called me right after, like 30 seconds after 6 and was like, I got one. And I was like, oh, cool, man. Awesome. I'm glad you got one. And it was just me and him were just bullshitting. We were literally on the phone for 2 minutes, and Randall calls me 2 minutes into this call, and I'm like, I thought something was wrong. You know, I was like, you know, maybe the pre-order got screwed up or something like that, or maybe he's having some problems with his web server or something like that. So I'm like, let me take this call real quick. And it's Randall on the other line. Randall goes, all the U.S. ones are sold out. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, in 2 minutes, all the ones from the U.S. have been sold out. And I'm like, you're fucking shitting me. He's like, no, I'm dead fucking serious. So that was an interesting surprise. And then, like, I think like the next day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, he's like, all the European ones are sold out. So basically all the 30 of those guitars sold out in like less than 24 hours worldwide. I did not expect that. But that's how that whole LTD thing came to be, because we wanted to do one. Everybody wanted one, but they didn't want to, you know, nobody has the money to buy. Not everyone has the money to buy an expensive custom shop one.
Exactly. And they fucking look awesome. Like I said, I've seen you play one. I can't wait to fucking actually try one out, and hopefully, fingers crossed, fucking get one down the road. Because I don't know what sold me more. Obviously, the star shape is fucking sweet, but that hard case that comes with it, Jesus.
Yeah, the case came out fucking fantastic, and that was a big deal, because apparently ESP is having some problems actually making the print on the case, but it took them a while, but they actually nailed it. So the case looks fucking unbelievable. I did not expect it to come out that good. Let's put it that way.
Like, for a first-time signature, you guys knocked it out of the park with that one. Let me just say that. Like I said, I can't stress enough that hopefully down the road I can fucking get one in my hands. But Sammy, I gotta wrap it up here a little bit. I just have a couple more questions for you. Number one, what would be some advice you'd give to bands starting out, future players, stuff like that? Like, what would you tell someone's like, hey, I've got a band going, what route should I take? What's the next step? You know?
Oh, man, I would suggest practicing as much as possible, even when you don't feel like it. Practice as much as you possible with the band, individually. That's the first advice I would give them. Second advice I would give them would be to try to play as many shows as you possibly can, which is kind of fucked up right now.
Yeah.
But that would be another piece of advice I would give them. And that would be about it. I mean, it's so hard nowadays, but it's, there's so many bands putting out music nowadays that you have to kind of be very aware of what you're putting out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been, I've been guilty of this before, to where it's like, I hurry up and put out this fucking shit. I'm excited about it. I mean, that's all great and everything, but the thing you have to take into consideration is sometimes you need to step back from that and really focus on how much better you can make this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's another thing to take into consideration. But that's the advice that I would give to like any aspiring musicians or bands. So practice a lot. When you get the opportunity, play as many shows as you possibly can, and always be over analytical of your music.
Very good, very good. And to end it on a kind of a high note for you, since obviously the touring thing isn't going on, you guys have a live stream coming up on the 9th of January.
Yep.
Can you kind of go into detail about what to expect with that?
Well, we're still kind of planning stuff around that, so you definitely expect to see us playing.
Well, I hope.
But as far as any little extra things like that, we're still throwing around ideas. So I'll just leave that to maybe like a surprise if something out of the ordinary happens besides us playing.
We've got our tickets, so we're pretty fucking excited. I mean, like I said, it's been 2 years or so since we've seen you guys live, so it'll be cool to see you all on stage again. And
yeah, man.
Sammy, I can't thank you enough, number one, for everything you've done for music. I've been following your career since I was in high school in Acid Bath. And also I wanted to say this, it's kind of sappy, but you've also inspired me to change my life around, focus more on music, and quit the drugs and alcohol. And I want to congratulate you as well on your 1 year. I'm 3 months as of yesterday.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Like I said, when my girlfriend told me that you had gone that route, that was the one thing that made me think, well, if he can do it, maybe I can too. So like I said, from the bottom of my heart, I respect you. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you've done, like musically, and just for inspiration for people like me. You know, it means a lot.
That means a lot to me. But yes, keep on that path. It's gonna get rough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The first 6 months, it's but you gotta be strong. You gotta just power through the things that come with not doing this stuff after doing this stuff for so many years.
Yep.
But I will say like this, that I have never felt better in my life, and I wish I had done this sooner.
Same here, man. Like I said, I'm 3 months in, you're a year in. I've been focusing on nothing but music and just bettering myself, finding other things to do that aren't getting fucked up till fucking 10 in the morning.
Exactly. There's a lot more to life than just getting fucked up all the time, man.
And you and I have been really fucked up together, so we both seen it.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
So, Sammy, I want to wish you a happy new year. I want to thank you again for your time. I really cannot wait to see you guys on the road again. Me and Christine will be front row as always.
Hell yeah. I can't wait as well.
And give my best to the boys in Goat Whore, and give old Willie Loomis and Boris a good old scratch on the belly for me, all right?
You got him. Yeah, they're sleeping right now, so.
All right, Sammy, thank you so much, and I will talk to you later, buddy, all right?
You got it, man. Later, Nate.
Cheers.
I want to thank Sammy Duet for taking the time to talk to me about extreme metal, pointy guitars, those Michael Klein pedals, and all the cool stuff he's got coming up and all the cool stuff from the past. It made my day and makes going into 2021 a little bit more cool. So thank you very much, Sammy. Appreciate the hell out of it. To finish up our show, we're going to have music from Pestilent Age, Forced Fed Their Truce. Now this band, they're from Michigan. Got in contact with them about a year ago through their singer, who's also into corpse paint, bullet belts, gauntlets, all the great stuff in life. Found out he was an extreme metal band, even better. Best friends right there. That's how you hook me right there. So, Pestilent Age, Force Fed Their Truce. Find them on Facebook, find them wherever they stream their music, buy their physical copies, Do what you gotta do. Fantastic band. Before we head into there, I just want to wish everyone a safe and happy new year. I hope 2021 treats everyone well. Treat everyone else well. Treat your friends right. Support your bands. Support the underground. Hails and cheers. Metal!